If this is true, and it's obviously true, right? Then basically what's happened here is that it's taken a business grouping 12 months to fix a problem which has afflicted us for 17 years. And all that had to happen is that government had to take a step out of the way. Mark, hi, good morning.
Let's talk about the light. The lights are on.
Let's dive straight in.
Yeah, the lights are on, Tim. The lights are on everywhere. What do you make of that? It's like 45th day of blah, blah, fish question. I'm almost starting to believe there's something real there. I mean, hey?
Yes, the lights are on. Okay, let's start there. This for me was underlined by the briefing last week of the Business for South Africa grouping.
Yeah.
Who made what I thought was really quite a startling claim. And their claim is that we will be down to, on average, level 1 load shedding by the end of the year, and that load shedding will be done by the end of next year. So how about that then, hey? After 17 years, people other than the politicians are saying that load shedding is going to end.
Yeah, so, I mean, have we been convinced, what is the diesel quotient in that debate? And what's the due diligence available to us on all of that? Because I want to talk about that in terms of promises later, and maybe talk about the election. It's close enough for us to talk about. So,
yes. Yeah.
What else did they say? What is the foundation of that hypothesis?
Well, the diesel situation is that we've used less. They're still using a lot of diesel, but they've used less as a total year to date than the equivalent period of last year. In 2023, we spent 30 billion rand on diesel. In 2022, we spent 19 billion rand on diesel total, and we are less than that as we speak. So they're still using it. These numbers are so huge. It's a very funny thing how governments spend money like they don't own it. And they didn't earn it. They spend money as if they just got it from somewhere else. Say the population, for example.
Yeah, never a truer word spoken in jest. There's nothing easier than spending other people's money. I mean, I remember old Maggie Thatcher once saying the trouble with socialism is you eventually run out of other people's money. And there's no better return than that you'll get on other people's money, because the return is infinite for you, the user of such money. I wish that we were as efficient at spending the money as we are seemingly becoming at collecting it.
Yes.
So Saad seems to be doing a good job of gathering the cash.
Yes.
Okay? And then he hands it over to, I guess, the Minister of Finance or whoever it might be, and they seem to, with gay abandon, spend it. And I can get into some numbers there. But on electricity, are we believers? Are we becoming believers? Is this the new normal that approaches us? And if so, what is the mixture of inputs that have resulted in that output? That's what I want to know. I just want to know the truth.
Okay. Here's, as reported last week, this is from James Brkic. He's the head of the National Energy Crisis Committee, and these are the numbers. And the interesting thing about them, basically what they had to do is they had to find an extra 6 gigawatts of electricity.
Right.
And once you get to 6 gigawatts, then you're at a kind of sustainable average of stage 1. So far, we have found an extra 2.3. This is on top of what we already had last year. This is just this year. And by quarter 3 this year, we will have found 3. By the end of the year, we will have found 6.2. According to him, that's according to the projects that they've got. And that suggests that Eskom will find a little bit more, but not a lot. And it won't find any more after that. All of the upside is renewables. It's just incredible. More than half will be wind power and photovoltaic, mainly photovoltaic.
Well, the word I want to focus on there is found.
Yes.
It sounds like an Easter bunny hunt,
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
we found this stuff. No, man, we didn't find it. We built it or made it or fixed it. Are there other ways that we can describe this find of yours? Because it's not a find, okay? It's,
no,
it's
exactly.
not we haven't unwrapped something.
No, this is true.
That's what so you say it's renewables, eh?
So, here is my interpretation of this. I mean, this massively plays to my priors, but basically what happened here, if you're taking a longer view on it, is the government kept on saying that it was going to fix the problem and kept on not fixing it. And it just got worse and worse and worse. And then the situation got so bad that government decided it couldn't fix it. It was going to get the private sector in to fix it. And if this is true, and it's obviously true, right? If this is true, then basically what's happened here is that it's taken a business grouping 12 months to fix a problem which has afflicted us for 17 years. And all that had to happen is that government had to take a step out of the way.
So we have the news. We have the news. Listen, that's very positive stuff in a way. I mean, and I've always sort of said that what we needed to solve South Africa more generally is an existential crisis. Okay. And so the step aside rule has taken on a whole new positive foundation. Okay.
Exactly.
It's just the trouble is just means all of us. No, but I mean, forget about how it might have come about or whatever, or who won.
Right.
We're not about victories anymore. We're about outcomes.
No.
And so that's cool. I mean, if we've got to a point, because the next place we have to go to is far more relevant and dangerous, which is water. I read this morning, in fact, about the emergence of the water mafia.
Yes.
Now, it's one thing charging people exorbitant prices or withholding electricity. It's quite another, withholding water or putting a price on water, because water is life. Okay.
Yes.
In fact, to go sadly, I mean, I've been quite affected by this George implosion of the building, never mind all of the technical stuff around it. But, I've tried to imagine what it's like lying there trapped in this space for this period of time. And they discovered this one chap who'd been there 118 hours. Now, that's beating natural science because, you normally can't survive beyond 3 days without water. So maybe he had water or oxygen somewhere in some form. But can you imagine the horribleness, the desperate, maybe your body compensates and you go into a kind of a state. How do you survive that mentally, Tim? Anyway, I don't want to make a feast of it, except to say there's still more bodies under there, and the chances of them being living bodies must be very close to zero now. What a terrible tragedy.
You know what it tells me, this whole thing, and this is a strange sort of conclusion to come to just after we've been talking about the step aside rule, and that is that there are places where government is so important, so undervalued.
So I agree.
And, clearly what happened here, it seems like what happened here, as far as we can tell, is that the people who are building this block of flats did the thing that builders always do, is they go to the building office with building plans, the plans get stamped, and then when the building comes, they decide, let's put a couple more stories on.
Yeah.
This is really a government function. It's a kind of boring, but somebody's got to walk around and say,
is the cement mixed to standard? Is there too much water? Have you taken shortcuts? But anyway, a human tragedy beyond all of that, which I, for the life of me, can't begin to imagine mentally. So I agree with you. But if we go above the ground now and we start talking about my number of the week, okay, to jump to that, because the other subject we'll get back to is the amount that's been spent on this bus transport system.
Yes.
77 billion.
Yes.
Okay. And there's nothing that's functional. Zero. Okay.
Yes.
And the number that intrigued me almost as much was the amount spent on consultants.
Right.
780 million. Now, I don't know how you negotiate that fee, because it seems to me that is the easy route to unearned wealth. Okay. You have a few mates and you go, how would you like to be a consultant? And they go, yeah, I would. And you go, how much do you want to be a consultant? And they go, I'll have 20. So
right.
Could you make that 25? And then I can have 5. By the way, I haven't yet mentioned the subject or the required expertise for this consultancy, because the 780 million of consulting fees yielded squat.
There is.
Okay. And you can never judge it.
Yeah. Somebody, I'm going to get this quote wrong, but I seem to remember somebody saying, the thing about consultants is that they charge you an enormous amount to come and give you advice about your business. They tell you to do what you were going to do anyway, and then they take what you did do and sell it to your competitors.
It sounds like we missed out. Yeah, it sounds like I'm in the wrong job. But
yeah, we missed out there, baby.
But I mean, it introduces another thing, which is called bullshitting. Okay. And they're close cousins, consultants and bullshitters.
I never heard of that. What is that?
I've never heard of
Yeah.
Bullshit. Well, XZ, which is the Afrikaans and South African version for Twitter, since one of our oaks rewrote it. So it's now X. Right. So it's, XZ, you didn't tweet. And I said that we are now being taken for fools if you give the promises, the obviously unfulfillable promises that election manifestos almost without exception are tabling before us the full electorate. Okay. And so I looked up, I just wanted to find a cleverer word for fooled. And so I looked it up. And these are the synonyms I came up with, Tim. And they go like this: do, mislead, con, have, swindle, deceive, lie to, sucker, delude, bluff, burn, fake out, beguile, hoodwink, take in, catch out, take for a ride, scam, or hustle. And I thought that seems to me like the guiding foundations of manifesto design. Okay. Those are the essential, that is the framework, okay, for going out there and beguiling people, essentially. Huh? I mean, are we that bloody stupid? I nearly used the F word.
I mean, the one thing that has come up in this election, which I thought is really kind of somewhat inevitable, this was the Premier of Gauteng, Panza Lusuli.
Oh, God.
Talking about
on the health,
the NHI. Yeah. And the good thing is there's cameras now everywhere. So we get to see this stuff. So he's saying, once the NHI bill is through, you will be able to go to any hospital you feel like and
get the best doctors.
They won't be able to charge you. And you can get the best doctors and they won't be able to charge you. And everyone's like, wow, that sounds great. I can go to any hospital I want to.
Yeah, I'll have some of that.
Yeah. So, he doesn't sort of mention the time frame here, although, what the anticipated, burden on the state and the history and all of that sort of stuff. It's just something to talk about. All of the details get lost. And I think that fits. I mean, does that fit into your category, Mark? I mean, I think that sort of more or less fits into that.
Yeah. Well, I often quote pieces of Leonard Cohen's famous song, Everybody Knows, right?
Right.
And the piece that I quoted recently was the one where he says, everybody knows that the boat is leaking. Everybody knows that the captain lied. Okay. I mean, you must listen to that song. And surely we know, man,
yes.
That the utterances of the Premier are rubbish.
Yes.
And what do we do about it?
I mean, I think that we do know, and you can tell that we do know. What we know about it and what we do about it is we decide not to vote. That's the problem.
Yeah, but we can't do that. That is
I know, but I mean, it's just inevitable. The politicians, when they lie about this stuff, they don't sense that they are shooting themselves in the foot because, we already have, something like 15% of South Africans don't bother to pitch up the elections. And the proportion has been increasing every year since democracy. And we're now at a point where we have as many people who don't vote as, countries that have had stable democracies for centuries. So we caught up there very quickly as it happens.
I object to you not voting. If you don't vote, shut up and you've got nothing to say. You have to vote. You have to make a call and if you can't find anything to vote for, start a party that you believe people will join you in, because we have to vote. We have to vote. It's a duty, in my view. But here's one of the problems. It seems to me that famously, once in power, stay in power,
right,
is the objective. And this doesn't happen anywhere else as profoundly as it does in politics. There's a natural progression, succession, expiration of, and sport's a classical example. I mean, in my many decades on this planet, I've seen, for example, 4 generations or so of tennis.
Right.
There was the sort of Borg McEnroe era, and it came and went as they got beaten.
Yes.
And then there was the kind of like Nadal Federer era, and then that came in, and now it's the Djokovic blah, blah, blah era, and so much as Nadal wants to go into the French Open, he'll get beaten, and so there's a natural changing of the guard in sport and in many other things. In business, I would argue, in good businesses, succession is planned for, and you have a time limit or a delivery limit as the CEO, and then you must go.
Yes.
No matter how much you like yourself or how much other, it's time to go regenerate. And we're not doing that politically, particularly in countries where, there's been a change of guard as a result of a liberation.
No, for sure. We have term limits as applied to presidents. That's a sort of like global acceptable.
What is our limit?
Ours is 2. You get two 2 terms as president.
Okay.
I was interested to see, by the way, that in Mexico, you only get 1. From that point onwards, it gets completely confused because some countries have got term limits for senators and not for people in the lower house, but we don't seem to have any other than the president. It's sort of just taken for granted that there will be a kind of natural succession. I mean, that's been very bad for us, I think.
In Russia, for example, it seems to me that whoever's in charge makes the limits. And so we're going like, I was thinking that this limit thing. No, I don't think so. Not while I'm here. We need that change.
You're thinking about limiting boards or something kind of as shocking as that.
I don't know.
There have been a bunch of CEOs, as we've spoken about it before, there's been changing of the guards quite a bit in South African business.
Yeah.
It does seem like you can't really stay being the CEO for longer than a decade.
Yeah.
It's too much of a strain on your relations, even if you're a very good one.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks, there's a kind of natural limit to it. And, the same thing should apply to sort of junior politicians, I think.
Yeah.
As well as the top of the tree.
That rule in business proves itself. I mean, there are exceptions to the longevity of CEOs,
yes.
And they result in diminishing returns.
Yes.
They are the definition of diminishing returns, in my view. And there are plenty of examples that we still live with today. And maybe we're consulting the wrong people. We're talking about people talking about people. I read, because it's your favorite subject, AI,
right?
That there's now a thing, nogal, called the therapy chat box. Okay, so if you're feeling a little glum, okay, or a little something, whatever it might be, don't go to proper therapy, go to AI. Now, Tim, can you help me there? What will you get back when you say, hi, I feel, and so then the AI goes to the her box and brings out 487,000 instantaneous solutions that have been evidenced in the north. I'm lost, Tim. I'm going to consult the therapy chat box now. I swear, at least it's impartial advice. Eh?
No, Mark, I think you should.
I need it. I know I need it. Yeah. I know.
Actually, I think the therapy chat box, the AI therapy chat box, is actually something AI might do really well.
You just love AI. Hey? Are you on a retainer?
No. But here's my reasoning. We have collective experiences as humanity.
Right.
And for the experiences that a lot of people face, applying a lot of data to that is going to be a good thing.
Yeah.
Surely.
Yeah.
So, if you have, something which repeats a sort of syndrome or a situation or an illness that repeats itself on a consistent basis, there's logic in applying what you could call the aggregate general wheel to that situation. I mean, what it doesn't do is it won't understand you necessarily.
Exactly.
Because sometimes the aggregate, best solution won't be the solution in your particular case, but it will be the solution in the aggregate case. So it's not to be sniffed at.
It presumes at its root of logic a homogeneous society.
Yes.
And a uniform description of a problem. Okay. Which are fundamentally flawed when you're seeking individual advice. You almost sign up by saying, we are all individuals. Okay. Say it together now. We are all it's bullshit, man. It's more bullshit.
Yeah, we're all individuals. Yeah, we are.
That's all I have to say about that. You know what? Someone reprimanded my limits of scientific knowledge from our last podcast, and all I can say to them is, but I did sit in wonder of what's happening in medical science and development. And the thing that fascinated me the most in the last week was a successful double hand transplant. I can't imagine the intricacy of that connectivity. It makes computers look positively childish in its genius. Okay. Imagine you have this accident and you've suddenly got no hands, and then someone with a living will, offers their hands up, and you get these new hands attached to you, which I'm overwhelmed by that technical and mindset. What do you think? And then there was a guy who's a famous chef who said he's breathing and smelling things better for the first time because he's just had a double lung transplant.
Wow.
Tim, we are approaching robotic transformation, And that's probably why your, therapy chat box will work, because we're becoming robots.
Yes. I mean, a double-handed transport, that's just incredible. I mean, that is just absolutely amazing.
I was amazed.
I presume that eventually we're going to be able to have different parts of your body
Replicate.
You're sick of your arm, you just get a new one, get a more modern one.
Although I imagine arms won't be top of that list. As we get older and stuff like that. Yeah, all right.
Maybe feet, and then you could have great feats of strength.
Feet, it could be. I was thinking feet. That's what I was thinking. Exactly. All righty. Well, promises. Election's coming. Seek out the truth before you vote.
Okay. Cheers, Mark.